Hey guys, Petalman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm gonna be making a list that is my top 15 favorite adventures in anime. And what I mean by adventure is kind of the whole journey aspect of it. And how that part of the show and its story and the characters kind of interacted, how much I like it. Um, that might not have been a great explanation, but hopefully you can kind of understand um what I'm talking about with some of these picks. And number 15 is OG Dragon Ball. I just love the kind of silly antics of the crew, and I love the kind of silly things that they seem to get up to. Um, and yeah, it's just really relaxing, OG Dragon Ball, for a lot of reasons. It's just like very goofy. They come across a lot of goofy things, and kind of seeing Goku's power grow along those different benchmarks as him and Bulma and eventually Yamcha, they kind of like slowly grow and make more and more friends. It's just really nice. Um, Number 14 is Samurai Champloo. This is just really fun because it's like three different friends that, similar to OG Dragon Ball, they just meet fun characters along the way and get into funny and chill situations themselves. Um, and then at 13 I have Mushishi, because the whole point of the show is literally following Ginkgo on his journey to like observe and deal with the different kinds of mushi. And as I've explained many times about Mushishi, the thing that makes its world building so good is just kind of seeing the way that Ginkgo interacts with it. And that same exact thing kind of applies for me to his like general journey. So, and number 12 is the 12 Kingdoms. And this is just really interesting and cool because, like, um, oh my gosh, I already, I'm gonna get, I'm, what is her name? Yoko. That's it. That's it. Uh, oh, wrong one. Uh, Yoko, like travels to several different kingdoms and also just like several different places. Um, and it's really interesting the way that, like, similar to Mushishi, there's a lot of really great world building that's done by like her traveling different places and kind of observing different situations and and I think the way that the show combines these two together is just really good. Also, like, it doesn't just follow Yoko, but the other girl characters that it follows and how that kind of is used to explore the other kingdoms and further add on to that world building is really interesting. So I really like the journey aspect in that way. Um, And number 11 is Doro. And this is a journey that's more emotionally satisfying because it's really freaking cool to just see Hyakimaru go through, and it's just so satisfying to see him like ever so slowly regain these parts of himself and how he changes in each aspect and how he like adapts his fighting style and stuff like that, and how it's almost really interesting how you can compare Hyakimaru as a character and certain ways that he was better or and still but like that he's better without certain parts at some points like with certain tasks, but how he's also better in a different way with all the human parts by the end. It's really uh, emotionally satisfying progression. Speaking of emotionally satisfying progression, my number 10 is A Place Further Than the Universe, and this is just really nice because the four main girls all have a great relationship with each other. They all go through great character arcs and they all become really, really great friends. And that moment when they finally reach Antarctica and like the time that they spend there feels extra special. Because I think what A Place for the Universe did so well is I think they kind of perfectly balanced the idea of the place being just as satisfying as the journey to get there. And as a result, both of those intermingle and make for just a great time watching it. And number 9 is Orb on the Movements of the Earth. Orb, the journey in Orb is very different from a lot of the other ones on this list in the sense that it doesn't really follow one character. And when I talk about the journey in Orb, I'm specifically talking about the journey of the knowledge that they discover and the kind of path that it takes among so many different individuals across several decades. Um, and like the way that that is passed from person to person, and the way that we see all these different characters and their unique perspectives, not just on this knowledge and how to spread it, but also on life in so many different things, is just really interesting. And like the journey of following the characters through the show and kind of tracking the human experience of knowledge is like the best part about the show in general. So I love the journey aspect too. Or and number 8 is Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann is much more of a typical journey that you might imagine because um Hamina and Simon, they go all over the earth, traveling, meeting new friends along the way, such as Yoko and such, and Kitan and his group eventually and such, and they gain more allies, and their mech gradually improves until they kind of face off against Lord Genome, and then the journey aspect gets even more interesting in the second half of the show because uh they essentially do the same thing but they go into space and across dimensions to fight anti-spiral, and it's really really awesome. um and number 7 is Attack on Titan, and this is mostly because of like the kind of journey of Aaron's character and how that is like carried across his experiences across the entire world, but especially in particular when he leaves Sharadib. So like him exploring different parts, like going outside the wall and stuff like that. And kind of the way that his viewpoint changes with those experiences is uh one of the best parts of Aaron's character. And number six is Hunter x Hunter, and that's because seeing Gon and his friends just travel together is an amazing time. But again, it includes a lot of great, like, kind of character development along with it because there's so many different things that Gon and Killua pick up for the different locations that they go to, especially when we get to the Chimera Ant arc, and that's where they by far have the most growth. But the same thing is true with, like, Karapika and the Oreo as well, and it's really interesting to see the way that their characters change and develop. And number five is Violet Evergarden, and this might be no, it's not the most satisfying, but it's one of the most emotionally satisfying of this particular list because the sheer development that Violet goes through as like she writes the letters for all different people and the way that those experiences kind of form her as a person and lead to her like having her own unique personality and such is just incredible. And number four is Main Abyss. And the whole journey is them exploring the entire world of Main Abyss in a very similar way to Ginko in Mushishi. The way that the world is kind of fed to us via being able to explore it is just a very, very satisfying conclusion to come to. Um, and I also just love the dynamic of all of them traveling together, especially like when you get into the stuff with the manga that hasn't been adapted yet, and you get to like Fabuta joining along with them after the end of season two, and you kind of get to see their dynamic in action. It's very wholesome and very nice amidst the very dark setting of Main Abyss. Um, And number three is To Your Eternity. And I kind of talked about this a lot when I mentioned Fushi in the updated protagonist list. But Fushi's journey literally lasts across freaking hundreds of years. And like seeing every single stage of that and like every single connection that he makes and value that he gains and person that he ends up calling family throughout the entirety of that experience and the wisdom that he gains and how he's able to rely on that is just incredible. Um And number two is Frieren. Frieren is an elf that literally lived for thousands of years and didn't think about the way that time affected her until she went on a journey the first time and discovered that. And seeing that exact lesson play out in a second journey of hers is just amazing. And even on top of this, there are so many points where a lot of her values are challenged and she has to change. So, it doesn't feel nearly as static because, like, not only is she already changed as a person, but there's already many aspects about her that already change, which is just amazing. And number one, maybe this would have been an obvious thing to see coming, but of course, number one is One Piece because the whole journey is literally the entire aspect of the show and why it's peak. Like, I don't think I need to explain much more than that. Um, if you see One Piece, then you know why it's number one because the journey is literally the focal point of the entire show. Um, but yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.